Tunc jussit, eam introire, ubi repositi erant thesauri ejus, et jussit, illic manere eam, et constituit, quid daretur illi, de convivio suo. Okay, the beginning's pretty simple. We should know most of these phrases. Let's see. Then he ordered, and what did he order? He ordered her to enter. And then this part tells us where he ordered her to hang out. To enter, where did he tell her to go? The place where his treasures had been placed. So remember, she went in there and he was in a fancy tent and stuff, and now he's probably flexing even more. Hey, why don't you wait in this place where all my bling is? Okay, we'll keep going. And he ordered, what else did he order? He ordered her to stay there in that place. So we got two things. He ordered her to enter, eam introire, and he ordered her to hang out there. What else did he do? And he thought about what should be given to her concerning her feasting or her eating. So let's talk about a couple things here. First of all, he thought about, or he decided. That's pretty simple. So right here we have an indirect question. What's an indirect question? It's where you talk about someone else's question. And in this sentence, Holofernes is saying, hey, what kind of food do we have for Jewish people? They have special food. And it's an indirect question because you have a question word, quid, and that makes the verb in the question subjunctive. What should be given? So that's why it's quid daretur. One more time just to make sure we got it. Then he ordered her to enter the place where his treasures had been placed, and he ordered her to stay there, and he decided what should be given to her regarding or concerning her eating. We'll keep going. Cui, respondit Judith, et dixit, Nunc non potero manducare ex his quae mihi praecipis tribui, ne veniat super me offensio, ex his autem quae mihi detuli manducabo. Okay. Hey, do you guys recognize cui? That is dative from qui quad. To whom? Responded Judith, right? She responded to him because he's like, hey, what kind of food do we have that Jewish girls like? To whom? Judith responded, and she said, let's see, now I will not be able, notice potero is future tense there, I will not be able, manducare, that means to eat from those things. From which things will I not be able to eat? From those things, and here's a nice relative clause there. Those things which you order to be handed over to me. So praecipis is a U verb. It ends in S. That is pretty simple. And tribui is a passive infinitive. Instead of ere, it ends in I. Those things which you command to be distributed to me. I can't eat from those things. And now she goes on to say why she cannot. Lest, or so that not, it's a ne is the opposite of ut. Lest offense, notice that's nominative, come over me, right? Because if you're a nice Jewish girl, you can only eat certain foods. You can't eat whatever these crazy Assyrians have. And ne, again, is the opposite of ut. Lest offense come over me. Let's keep going. From these things, however, from which things? I don't know if you remember in chapter 10, she had her slave girl carry a crap ton of things into the camp with her. From these things, which I brought for myself, I will eat. Notice detuli, that is from that nifty verb. It's a compound of pharaoh. Hold on, let me get the right size pen and we can write it out. Pharaoh, phare, tuli, fourth principal part is latus. So that's the verb of bringing. So you can see the root there, tuli, detuli. So the de is the prefix, tuli is the root. From these things, moreover, which I brought for myself, I will eat. So we'll put that together one more time. To whom, responded Judith, and she said, now I will not be able to eat from those things which you order to be given to me, lest offense come over me. From these, moreover, these things which I brought for myself, I will eat. So she's saying, look, I'm a solid Jewish girl. I brought my own special food, so I don't have to eat whatever barbarian food you guys have. I'm going to stay kosher. Good job, Judith. Okay, so we'll keep going here. Oopsies, let's see. Cui Holofernes iet, si defecerint tibi ista, quae tecum detulisti, quid faciemus tibi. So, Holofernes is thinking ahead. Let's see. To whom Holofernes iet, Holofernes said, if those things are lacking to you, that is, if you run out of those things, if those things will be deficient to you, and notice defecerint is another future perfect. If those things will have run out, those things, which things? The things which you brought with yourself. Do you notice how repetitive this is? It's that same verb, except it's second person instead of first person. If those things which you brought with you run out, what will we do for you? So again, this is another if you build it, they will come construction. We've got see, we have a future perfect with the eri, and then we have a future tense verb here. If this thing will have happened in the future, another thing will happen after it. To whom Holofernes said, if those things run out for you, those things which you brought with yourself, what will we do for you? Oh, Judith, how are we going to feed you when you run out of Jewish girl food? Et dixit Judith, vivit anima tua, domine meus, quoniam non expendet omnia haec ancilla tua, donec faciat Deus in manu mea haec quae cogitavi, et induxerant illam servi ejus in tabernaculum quod praecipirat. And Judith said, your mind lives, or you got this, you're thinking about the right thing, my master. Notice how she butters him up. Your mind lives, my master, since, let's see, your slave girl, she's referring to herself in the first person, or the third person, since your slave girl will not use up all these things until God brings about, or does in my hand those things. Which things? Those things, it's another relative clause. Until God brings about in my hand those things which I thought about. So let's try this again. She's saying, your mind is fine, is alive, my master, since your slave girl will not use up all these things until God makes it in my hand these things. Until God makes in my hand all these things which I thought about. So she's saying, look, in the last chapter, I told you about how God was going to take care of everything, and I know God's going to handle everything, and he's going to deliver things in my hands before I run out of food. Now, Holofernes thinks that she's going to deliver Jerusalem, or the Jews, to him before she runs out of food. He doesn't know she has some other sneaky plan. So we'll keep going. And let's see. Oh, induxerint. Are you guys going to run for the dictionary? Do you see the root there? There's in, and then there's dixit. It literally means to lead in. And so notice it's plural. They brought her in. Who? His slaves. They brought her into the tent. Which tent did they bring her into? The tent which he had ordered. Notice how they keep showing us the same words over and over. We have praecipirat here, and up here we have you order or command over there. because this is the Bible. It's super repetitive, praecipis here. Et petit dum introiret ut daretur ei copia nocte et ante lucem copia agrediendi foras ad orationem et deprecandi dominum. Ooh, this is an exciting passage. Okay, so hold on just a second here. And she sought while she was entering, while she was going into the tent, she sought. And then there's this whole big thing about what she sought, but the huge part that I want you to understand is the word copia, because the literal translation of copia is like supply or resources, but sometimes it means the ability. And that's what it means in this case. And you're always talking about copia, the ability of doing something in the genitive. So we'll keep going so you can see it. And while she entered the tent, she asked that it be given to her. What be given to her? Permission or the ability. And before we figure out what ability it is, we figure out when she wants it. She wants the ability at night and before daylight. Okay, what does she want? The ability agrediendi, there's your genitive, the ability of going out. For us means outside. So she asked permission for the ability, let's point that out so you can see it, the ability of going outside at night and before the daylight. Why does she want to go outside in the middle of the night? Oh, ad orationem, to pray. Because, right, sometimes ad means for purpose. She asked for the permission to go out in the middle of the night to pray. And what else did she ask for permission to do? And just in case you weren't sure, here's the other genitive. The ability or the permission of praying to God. So, one more time. This word kopios is special. It can mean resources, but in this instance it means ability or permission. And it has the ability of doing two things, of leaving and of praying. So she asked for permission because she's a good Jewish girl. She's going to eat good Jewish food and do her prayers. And she sought while she was entering that it be granted to her. What be granted to her? The ability of going outside during the night and before the sunrise, of going outside to prayer and of praying to God. So that's what she's asking for here. So we'll keep going. Et praecipit cubicularii suis ut sicut placeret illi, exeret et introiret ad orandum deum suum per triduum. So she asked him for this permission, and he ordered to his cubicularies, to like the guys who guard the bedroom, to his bedroom guards, or the ones who guard that area. He ordered to his bedroom guards that, just as it was pleasing to her, that what? She go out and enter for the purpose of praying to her God for 3 days. So Holofernes granted her that permission. Let's see, is there any interesting grammar here? We've got this part. He ordered it to his guards that, as it was pleasing to her, she could go, that's subjunctive, and she could enter, that's also subjunctive. Oh, look at this construction. Ad plus an nd word always means for the purpose of. She could go out for the purpose of praying to her God for 3 days. Remember, ad plus an nd word is always for the purpose of. Et exhibat noctibus in valem Bethuliae, et baptizabat se infante aquae. Oh, this one's pretty simple. Let's see. And she was going in the nights into the valley of Bethulia, and she was baptizing herself in the fountain of water. I'm trying to remember what fountain of water there was, because last I heard they were out of water because he cut the aqueduct and had a guard. But apparently since she asked him for special permission to go out, they have one fountain left. Okay, what's going on grammatically? Notice in valem, this means into the valley. She was going out into the valley. How do we know it's into and not just in? Because it's got in plus the accusative, and that's always motion towards. So she was going towards into the valley of Bethulia. Okay. Et ut ascendebat, arabat dominum Deum Israel, ut dirigit viam ejus ad liberationem populi sui. Okay. And as she was climbing or going up, she was praying to the Lord God of Israel that he direct the road, her road, viam ejus, for the purpose of liberating, for the liberation of her people. Okay, so let's see. She was praying that something happened. So a verb of trying to get someone to do something plus ut plus a subjunctive here, that is an indirect command. She was praying that God direct her road. So this is the direct object. Ejus, of course, is genitive, talking about whose road. God direct her route ad liberationem, for the freedom or liberty of her people. Et introiens munda manebat in tabernaculo usque dum acciperet escam suum in vespere. And entering, she was remaining clean in the tent all the way until she received her breakfast or her food in the vesper time, in the vespers, which I guess is like evening. So let's see here. Okay, notice we've got an NS participle, entering. Munda, that's just an adjective. She was staying clean, and she wasn't going anywhere else. Apparently, she wasn't wandering around in the camp or anything. And I don't think they just mean clean, like not dirty, but also like religiously pure. All the way until she received her breakfast in vespere. Okay, that one's pretty simple. Keep going. Et factum est in quarto die Holofernes fecit caenam servis suis, et dixit ad vagao unicum suum. Vade et suade Hybraeum illam ut sponte consentiat habitare mecum. Uh-oh, this is getting almost a little bit scandalous. Okay, before we get to the whole thing, let's notice that there is a new character here. His name is Wagao, and he is indeed a eunuch. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up in the dictionary. But it was really common in the ancient world to have people of special status working for the important people, and they happen to be eunuchs. Again, you can go look that up or ask your parents what a eunuch is. That'll be a fun one. Okay. And it was made, or it happened, it was done. When was this thing done? In quarto die, on the fourth day. What happened on the fourth day? Holofernes made a dinner with his slaves. And no, it doesn't mean that he cooked for his slaves, but it's like he was eating and his slaves were there. He made dining with his slaves. And he said to a certain slave, guy named Wagao, who was a eunuch, his eunuch, he said, go, notice imperative, and persuade the Jewish girl that sponte is an adverb of her own accord, on her own will. Persuade her to consent to live with me. And I don't think he really means live with him in the literal sense, maybe in the biblical sense. You guys can, again, when you ask your parents about what a eunuch is, you can ask what that means too. Let's see. So a couple of things grammatically here. We have imperative. So go and persuade that girl. And this becomes an indirect command because the main verb of persuading, he's trying to get somebody to do something. So it's an indirect command. We have ut plus the subjunctive here. Persuade her to consent to hang out with me, sponte, of her own accord, of her own free will.